Okay, live.
Super. Thank you so much, Patrick, for the setup. Welcome to our unplanned, unscheduled Rabbi and Ephi Zoom call, where we want to discuss the Parasha. Welcome, Rabbi Edery.
Thank you all. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, perhaps we do some technical issues. So we want to let everybody know from the viewers. So we are working on a new setup from our Golan Nation of Ephraim embassy and the Sanhedrin War and Situation Room, where we plan and execute the things concerning Israel. For example, here everything in connection with now the Machat Chetzi Shekel. And so right now we appear currently, I think, on 2 different YouTube channels. On your YouTube channel, yeah, Zog Yechi, on our YouTube channel from the Nation of Ephraim, on Facebook, and if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter. Now, we will have a show till about 7 o'clock. Then we stop. Then we start a news flash for about 30 minutes in German. And after that, we will move over to torahclub.com, where everybody is invited to participate in an open discussion. So during these live shows, we only have the opportunities to talk to you, but we actually want to talk with you. This is why we enter the Parasha. Today we have Mishpatim, and we're very thankful that after years of working, in Germany and so on, that for now over a year, we learn the Torah together with an ordained rabbi from the Chabad movement, which is in any way unique. Yossi, I would say, when we are taking a look around, there is nothing like what we have currently anywhere, I think, on the internet.
Absolutely, Ulf. So, yeah, the TorahClub.com is a up-and-coming, developed a social media platform, and as its name sounds, that's what it is. Torah and the club, which basically the club is like the community. And the Torah is, of course, the topic at hand. Everything we look at in the world, we look at it through the lenses of the Torah. And the Torah Club is a place for God-fearing people that might have been censored, perhaps in the past, on other social media platforms, or just want to talk about certain things that we know are not allowed to be discussed on regular social media. Torah Club is a place where we can discuss these things and where we can talk about them openly, and we hope to be able to use Torah Club much more often. So let's look at this week's Parsha, Ulf. I'm sorry for not making the screen share. Oh, you can do that right now, right?
Yeah, it's no problem. I have it directly here. I have it, of course, open. I already started with the second portion. We have Monday today, but we can go actually from the first reading. And so I give you the floor. Let's learn a bit Torah.
Okay. Yes. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu uvehem nehege yomam v'layla. This is our life and our length of days, and in it we will study day and night. This is the Torah. Study of the Torah is one of the only commandments that a Jew or a children of Israel have 24/7, 7 days a week, no vacation. As long as we have a few minutes, we should always throw ourselves into the Torah. The Jewish people used it as an escape during exile from all the horrors that they had to endure, but it was also our way of life. And if we can align our life with the Torah, then we're definitely in a good position. So, Ulf, can you zoom in just a little bit, if that's okay? And of course, let's start. ואלה המשפטים אשר תשים לפניהם. These are the laws that you will put before them. Rashi, let's show Rashi. Oh, Rashi says, כל מקום שנאמר אלה, פסל את הראשונים. Any place that it says ele, it canceled out what was said earlier. The ele with a vav in the beginning, mosif al harishoni. When you have ve'ele, the word ve'ele with a vav in the beginning, it adds on what we said earlier. Maharishoni misinai, af elu misinai. Just like what we said earlier is from Sinai, also these are from Sinai. And why is this parsha of the dinim, the laws, close to the parsha of the Mizbeach? To tell you that you should put a Sanhedrin in the Mikdash, near the Mizbeach. There we have it. The first Rashi, and we're already in the Sanhedrin. There we go.
Yes. Yeah, it's very nice that, of course, the ordinances, I mean, it's quite important. And we see here immediately the Sanhedrin should be next to the Beit HaMikdash. Unfortunately, the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed by the bad Romans. And then there was a time without the Beit HaMikdash. Now we are back in the land, and of course we are still with I'm honored actually to be part of the Sanhedrin initiative, to re-establish the Sanhedrin, and of course with the purpose to finalize, rebuild the temple, of course, and it's very nice that Rashi speaks about the Sanhedrin and the Beit HaMikdash directly in the first
Rashi
place where it's possible.
Yes. Of course, it's no coincidence, because the Rashi, the Mishpatim in general, we know that Ikar Torah Shebal Peh, the main element of the oral tradition and to manage is the Sanhedrin. Okay, Asher Tasim Linehem. Let's go to the next one. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe, לא תעלה על דעתך לומר, אשנה להם הפרק וההלכה ב' או ג' פעמים, עד שתהא סדורה בפיהם כמשנתה, ואיני מטריח עצמי להבינם טעמי הדבר ופירושו. וכך נאמר אשר תשים לפניהם, כשולחן הערוך ומוכן לאכול לפני האדם. So Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't want you to go there in front of the Jews all confused, making statements that are unclear. You need to put it before them like a table that is set. When you come out and you say the law of the Torah, it needs to be clear that it's put down before them. Okay? In other words, the Sanhedrin need to discuss what is the right conclusion of the law, and they need to go back and forth and figure out what the conclusion is going to be. And once they decide, they go in front of the Jewish people and they tell the Jewish people, this is the law. We worked out all the details. We're giving it to you straight and we're explaining it to you cleanly. לפניהם ולא לפני גויים, ואפילו ידעת בדין אחד שהם דנים אותו כדיני ישראל, אל תביאהו בהערכות שלהם, שהמביא דיני ישראל לפני גויים, מחלל את השם, ומכיר שם עבודה זרה להחשיבה, שנאמר, כי לא כרצונו צורם ואויבינו פלילים, כשאויבים פלילים זהו עדות לעילוי יראתם. So in front of them, okay. Where should you bring your case?
Yosef?
In front of the judge. Yes.
Yes, because you said already before, we come to perhaps a little racist place, perhaps I will just read this here in Hebrew. So, but not for the Gentiles, meaning the laws, the ordinances, the Mishpatim, the mitzvot, and so on. It's not for everybody. It's only for the children of Israel and not for the Gentiles. Even if you know that they judge a certain law similar to the laws of Israel, do not bring it to their courts. For one who brings Jewish lawsuits before Gentiles profanes the divine name and honors the name of to praise them, or other addition to give them importance. As it said, for not like our God is their rock, but yet our enemy judge us. Deuteronomy 32:31. When we let our enemies judge us, this is testimony to our esteem of their deity. And this is, this is basically what currently happens to Israel in The Hague, where in The Hague, from the Criminal Court of Justice, the Gentiles want to judge Israel.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's amazing, I think what's amazing here is that some people might say, oh, what if the non-Jews have the same laws as the Torah? Because as we said earlier many times, a lot of the court systems of the world are copy-paste made in China from the Torah.
No, not in China, in Rome. In Rome, we should.
In Rome, yeah, made in Rome.
The Roman mafia.
So here it says, anyone who, even if you know that they judge a certain law similarly to the laws of Israel, do not bring it to their courts, because you are giving praise to idol worship, you are giving praise to the enemies of Hashem. So just because somebody has something similar, just like when you have today, we know this in the copyright laws is a very serious thing. Coca-Cola and Amazon. If you're a seller on Amazon, you know this. If you sell merchandise anywhere, you know that the copyright laws are very, very serious, and the issues with people copying other ideas. What's the big problem if someone's copying ideas? The problem is that the one who came up with the idea has a special reason why Hashem gave him the right for this idea. And Hashem has a certain blessing that he gives this person when he gives him this idea to be able to use it in the right way. So when someone else copies his idea, he is stealing that blessing that Hashem gave that person, and there's a reason why Hashem gave it to him and not to this person. In any case, here we have a clear, of course, we're Parshat Mishpatim. It literally means the parasha, the Torah portion of the law. Okay, and of course, here we have the law, and of course, we start off first thing Rashi says is that the Sanhedrin are supposed to be in the temple. I just want to say, it's better for the Sanhedrin if they're, like Napoleon even said, an army marches on its stomach. So if the Sanhedrin is close to the Mizbeach, they'll never be hungry. You already know that, right? And the second Rashi, we say that when we put out the law, the Sanhedrin should cook the law behind closed doors and put it out ready for the people to understand. Not like what's happening in the Knesset in Israel today, where all day you hear all the screaming and shouting broadcasted live to the entire world. That is an embarrassment, and that goes against what we're learning about here. What the Torah says to us is, yes, the sages, of course, 70 sages have 70 different opinions of how the Torah should be fulfilled. But when they come in front of the nation, they should have a solidified, unified, psak din, a Torah law ready for the people, and they should show unity, just like when we have parents. When they come in front of their children, they should show unity. They should not be arguing in front of their children. So too the Sanhedrin should be responsible and deal with their issues internally. When they come before the people, they should be ready. The third thing we said is that even if the nations have the same laws as the Jewish rabbis, you should still go to the Jewish rabbis if you are looking for Hashem's blessing in your business and what in your family and whatever you do. Let's keep going. Oh, let's scroll down.
Yeah,
Or you want to comment?
I just would like to add something, because of course, we have currently Patrick and Yuri, from Germany and Switzerland are right now in the land, and experienced, as you know, quite a number of anti-Semitic attacks. So a lot of times, from a lot of people know I'm, running around under the name Ephraim now for quite some time. And I already always told my guys in Germany, hey, say, listen, guys, I'm dealing here with a very difficult issue according to Jewish law, which is an internal issue of Israel. And because people did not understand this is why they started to drag us, before courts, because once you keep the laws of Israel, well, then, of course, you see immediately the similar laws of the nations, that they are similar, but not the same. Meaning, you keep the law of Israel, and by doing that, you go against the law of the current world order and become criminalized. You should speak the truth, but when you speak the truth, well, then, okay, you know what's happening. So it's
Right. This is about setting up a society in a healthy way. If the whole society is corrupt, you have no choice but to be corrupt or figure out how to steal or how to, manage with them. This is why for the Torah and for the Jewish people, first of all, of course, we know that the structure of society in the Jewish tradition is like a family. Okay. And that's number one. The family, everybody takes care of each other. The father, just like we know, works very hard. And then the children get to eat, and whatever they leave over, the father finishes the plate. There's a certain element of trust, and there's a certain element of unity. And for a healthy society, of course, we have examples of what happened in Gaza, and we have examples of what happened in Shechem and Sodom and Amorah, which is a society that reached a point of corruption that there's no return. Okay. And the Jewish people were also almost in the 49th gate of impurity in Egypt before Hashem yanked them out at the last minute. So when we talk about setting up a society where you have honesty, truth, and justice, of course, it takes everybody to cooperate. Just like when the 10 people get together, 10 Jewish people can pray, they can read from the Torah. Here we're talking about 70, it's for the Sanhedrin is 70 sages, and every city has to have a small Sanhedrin, rabbis that people go to solve their issues. This is what creates harmony in a society, and this is what we're talking about right now. All right, let's scroll down. Let's keep going.
Yes, you want to wait? Should you buy a Hebrew slave? He shall work for 6 years, and in the 7th years, he shall go out to freedom without charge. So very nice. If he comes, perhaps you grab in, when you want to say something, I would say, okay. Hey, a Hebrew slave, you would say today, okay, if you would buy a Jewish slave. Okay, is it possible to buy anywhere Jewish slaves today? Or are we all slaves under the US dollar?
So the way the Torah is talking about it is, for example, if someone came into a grocery shop and he did a grocery shopping, filled up the cart to the top, and then just rolled out of the store without paying. Yeah. So now the owner sees him, he grabs him, he says, hey, yesterday you came here, you did a shopping of, I don't know, this amount of money, you didn't pay. Why? He says, well, I don't have money. So he says, well, look, let's make a deal. You're going to work here in my store. You're going to get minimum salary, and you will work for me till you pay my debt. Till you pay the debt that you did with the shopping. So this is Eved Ivri, a Hebrew slave. Of course, we know that if we go into detail of the Torah, We know that the Hebrew slave is treated very, very well. In other words, he has like we have today, healthcare and all the good stuff. So much so that the master has to take care of his slaves more than he has to take care than he can. In other words, he has to put his slave before him. In other words, if his slave doesn't have what to eat, he has to give him what to eat. If his slave doesn't have where to sleep, he has to take care of him.
Of
Who's a
course,
slave today? Oh, I
everybody.
think that most of society is a slave under
Yeah.
the governments and Rome and whatever's left of the destruction of the temple. Of course, the redemption, the redeeming of all mankind is also a redemption of slavery. Of course, in essence, the body of the Jew or the children of Israel might seem to be in slavery during exile, but the soul is never in slavery. And of course, legally, Hashem says, I took the children of Israel out of Egypt. Avadaihem velo avadim la'avadim. They are my slaves. They work for me, and they are not slaves of slaves, because all
Yes.
society, all mankind at the end of the day falls under the King of Kings, Hashem himself, the Holy One, blessed be he. So,
Yeah, it's. I also wanted to point this out. This is why I highlighted here Evet. You know, so Evet is actually not really a slave, but a worker. I mean, even Adam Orishan was an Evet. It was told him that he is an Evet, and of course has to maintain the here planet Earth, our beautiful paradise. And so, an Evet is basically a worker. And I
right. In
also
Hebrew, avodah is work. Everybody works,
yes,
and it's not a derogatory thing. So when we say that when Mashiach comes, the nations will work for the children of Israel, it's not a bad thing. And actually, we see
yes,
that 2 million
I
Arabs in
absolutely
Israel, 2 million Arabs in Israel choose from their free will to work in Israel, and they're very, very happy. They feel privileged to be in the Holy Land, whereas the people in Gaza and in Jordan and in Egypt are still whatever fighting with donkeys and goats
yeah.
and I don't know what else in the
Okay.
Stone Age, you know.
Yes, yes, yes. No, you can. I think we should all maintain that everybody is an avid. Everybody is basically a slave or a worker. The question is for whom, you know. So it's better to
Right.
be a slave for Hashem and to do His work instead of being a paid, slave for somebody else, where you have to sell perhaps even your body and your soul and whatnot. You know.
Right. So let's see Rashi. Oh, if you'd like to read Rashi, or you're sure?
Yeah, you should buy a slave. So a slave who is himself a Hebrew, or perhaps it means only a slave of a Hebrew, a Canaanite servant whom you bought from a Hebrew. And concerning him, the Torah says, he shall work for 6 years. How then can I apply the law in the following verse? And you shall bequeath them. I don't even know that English.
Okay.
Does this word
Uh,
apply concerning one a servant purchased from a non-Jew, but one a servant purchased from an Israelite goes free after 6 years? Therefore, the Torah states, should your brother, a Hebrew man, be sold to you, he shall serve you for 6 years. This is the clarification that I, God, said this only regarding your brother. Okay, so it's only for the
so what's
brother.
hap- So
Yes,
what's happening here in this Rashi is it says like this: a Evet Shuhu Ivri, a Hebrew slave, or like what we call in modern day a Jewish slave, or maybe are we talking about a slave of a Jewish person, which can be a Canaanite slave, which
yes,
was taken from a Jew, and on him it says that he should work 6 years. So, but then he says, but then how can we fulfill v'hisnachaltem oisam, which means, like you said, the fancy word. But in other words, they shall inherit. They shall inherit, which were what was taken from a goy, but what was taken from an Israelite, from a Hebrew, we'll leave it in six. So that's why the Torah tells us, Ki yimacher lecha achicha ha'ivri, lo amarti ele be'achicha. So we're only talking when we say Eved Ivri, we're talking about a Hebrew slave. Now, I want to point out, Ulf, that if a Gentile slave works for a Jew or a Canaanite slave, Eved Knani, works for a Jew, the day that he is released, he is Jewish. He is an Israelite. In other words, when he is freed from his master, he automatically receives um, uh, he's automatically so let's say there's a story in the Talmud that
Yeah,
they didn't have a
unless he decides to stay with the master and puts an earring in his ear.
right. So the thing is like this. Oh, the society structure in Judaism tells us, and the Torah tells us that even if he's your brother, if he's an Israelite, then even if his debt is a $5 million or I don't know, crazy amount of money, you worked him for 7 years straight. The guy, he did his best. I'm not talking about if the guy was sitting around wasting your time. He worked for 7 years. He gave his best. On the seventh year, he's free, even if he owes you $1 million or whatever.
Yes.
However, when it comes to a non-Jew, then the laws are different and he does not go free in 7 years. However, if you free him, he automatically turns to become an Israelite. He has the same rights as an Israelite. So that's the difference between, and why do we say that? Because, like we said, there's a concept here that's connected to the inheritance, and the Jewish people are supposed to, the children of Israel have to inherit the land of Israel, and it is not our place um, to get interfere with this, with Hashem's plan, Yeah. Okay. Next, Rashi.
So if he comes in alone, he shall go out alone. If he is a married man, his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall go out alone. Okay.
One second, Wolf. Let's look at the Rashis here because they're very heavy. There's a lot to learn. Let's go back up a little bit.
From here, we deduce that his master
No.
has.
Before
you want to go even
we
one
missed
up here.
Yeah, I'm sure they go.
Yeah.
We have one up.
Yeah, this was where we should buy the Hebrew slave. That's it. 2, if he comes alone, he goes alone. If he's a married man. Yeah.
Here. Kisikne, should you buy?
Should you buy?
Yeah.
Where should you buy?
The Rashi, should you buy?
We already talked about this.
Oh, I said it. Okay, I said it by heart. Okay. I thought I might have missed something, so I wanted to look inside. Here. From the hands of the basin which sold him in his theft. Okay. He was sold through basin. In other words, so it's not that like in our case, I told you that you just grab the guy you grab the guy and you tell him, hey, look, you stole from me, blah blah blah. However,
okay, you were gone for a second.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out how to shut the ringer here. Schuldig. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. Okay. So.
And yes, Yossi, perhaps I was just saying, so so now it's 7 o'clock. So a lot of guys who are coming in now onto our channel, we just want to let you know in a few minutes we stop the live show and then move over and restart the live show with the German news flash.
Community.
yes, with our German community, and then afterwards we meet us all in Torah Club. So now we were
100%.
let's go here concerning the laws of slavery and so on and so on. So we have also in German law, it is forbidden to take somebody as a slave. So slavery is basically abolished. But of course, the slavery of debt continues. The slavery of debt, so that you in debt people, and then you do not give them the opportunity to ever get free from their debt. And in this way, I mean, think about this. We have now here now, our anarcho-capitalist from Argentina. So he's tomorrow or what? He's in Jerusalem. Okay, and he basically says, this whole socialism and so on, it's basically bad. He thinks about, converting to Judaism. He will see a rabbi and so on and so on. But the whole idea of socialism is basically that some people decide to indebt a whole society for an utopian dream. And when you take a look at now the debt curve of a country like the United States of America, or like Germany, or any other Western nation, you have an exponential growth of debt, which is, in average, put on the shoulder of every person. So, and we are indebted as slaves, of tax-paying slaves, to the government. Now, the only way out of that one, I think, is a proper Yom Kippur, after 50-year Jubilee year, and a proper Yom Kippur, that now after we're back in Israel, well, everything should be set to zero. The debts should be forgiven, and of course, people should get back to their land. Because as I see this, so it's not only the male are enslaved, but here, if his master gives him a wife, so it's like the German state and like also the secular state. So they are basically they get a tax ID number, and then they have to pay taxes until they die. I mean, this is slave system par excellence. And I think.
But I want to say that the reason why we started off this parasha, and one of the first things that we saw that Rashi tells us is lifnehem velo lifnei ovdei kochavim, is because anything you see here that the nations have taken from the Torah without rabbinical supervision and implemented it into their respective governments, they have totally destroyed the purpose and the meaning of the Torah. Like the examples you gave are examples of using the Torah against the purpose of the Torah. And the reason, in other words, the purpose of the Torah is to give life, and instead the systems have used the Torah to create death, to create slavery, to create a matrix with hundreds of thousands of laws that nobody can ever escape in his lifetime. By the time you figure it out, there's nothing left. So let's let's go up a little bit, if that's okay with you. I missed one of Rashi. I wanted to the Rashi that we were looking at before. Of course, there's a lot of look. Slavery is not a comfortable thing to talk about, yeah. And the fact that we are talking about it means that people are in debt. That people need to take responsibility. But the Torah doesn't shy away from that. There's a way to get out of debt. There's a way to get out of slavery. Even if you're technically not an Israelite and you're non-Jewish, if you really want to be free from being an Eved, from working for a Jew, there's also ways that can happen. But again, there's a lot more details. You see, the Torah is exactly the opposite of how the rest of the world's laws look. The rest of the world, on face value, everything looks like roses and rainbows. But the second you look deep into it, you see that it's a trap. The Torah is the other way around. The Torah is very honest. It puts everything on the table. And it actually looks pretty scary. But if you look into the details, you see that it is all mercy and it is all peace and it is all just. Of course, the Torah is not just kindness and rainbows. There's also justice involved, just like what we're doing now in Gaza is justice, okay? That is what needs to be done. It's the healthy thing and the right thing to do. If someone comes to try to kill you, you have to and so on. So, Ulf, what do you see here that's interesting that you keep going back to here? Let's see.
I don't know. I was, already at verse 4, and you said you wanted to go back. So I don't know. So
so go.
We are coming, of course, now here to the doorpost, but if the slave says, I love my master, I love our democracy, I love Joe Biden and my wife and my children, I will not go free. So you vote Democrat, So his master shall bring him to the judges, and he shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. It always reminds me on these old, movies on the Middle Ages or something like this, where basically the servant of the house, he knew all his life he was a servant. And he loved the king, and he was happy when he could take care of the king's children, and so on and so on. So, and I think, this is the positive side. When we think about slavery, we think about, black slavery, where the British, sold basically the black population they bought from the Ishmaelites, from the Arab conquest, and they sold them in Gambia and then shipped them to America. So we are thinking about this type of slavery, where you're standing somebody with a whip. But in reality, it's really you owe somebody money, and he says, okay, you know what, you can start working this off for me. And
right, Ulf, I want to say that there's till today you have this issue that you have people. I just saw an interview. They interviewed a homeless guy, and he's not very talented, and he's homeless, and he's sitting there in Tel Aviv somewhere at the side of the street, and they interview him, and he says, at least in jail we had a bed, we had food every day. Of course, you have much less rights, but in jail, if you have one cigarette, you're already the king, in other words, in the world, if you want to be recognized or you want to be important, you have to have a fancy car, you have to have a house, you have to have a lot of responsibilities. In jail, the difference between the guy that's on top and the guy that's on bottom is a cigarette and maybe a pair of slippers or something. And he says, I have a lot of friends that they were in jail for 7, 10 years. And the first thing they did when they got out of jail is they stabbed somebody, they did some crime in order to get back into jail. In other words, you have the same concept for some people to take responsibility, to wake up and stop drinking the Kool-Aid is too much work for them. And for them to stay with less responsibility, to stay in a state of slavery is free. For them, it's more free. Arbeit macht frei kind of.
I mean, they prefer, to be told what to do. So they prefer, they're not able to organize themselves as much, and they say, it's much better to work for somebody else who gives me security and work than go free. I mean, it's today we have the same situation, I think, where people decide to stay as a worker or as a blue collar guy, a blue collar worker, instead of becoming a entrepreneur and start a company. It's a completely different story. Yossi,
So
I
let's see
know.
what we have to finish up. Yeah. So let's go.
Yeah, we
And
should finish up. I would again point out we will stop for 5 minutes, and then we are coming back with something in German, and afterwards we meet on torahclub.com in our video discussion room. We have to warn you, it's limited to 200 people. So we are only 200 people are able to come together. So, all right. So, and Yossi, last words on the Parsha.
so I think that the last thing I wanted to say was that this parsha is the laws. This parsha is the Sanhedrin. This parsha is the Torah. This parsha is freedom. This parsha, of course, we recommend everybody to study this parsha. And again, we have to appreciate freedom. We have to understand freedom. And
Yes.
if we study this parsha, we'll be able to understand that. And Bezrat Hashem, those who want to help assist the Sanhedrin, we have before Purim now the Machatzit HaShekel on mnglobal.org and so on. You guys check the links and so on. And those who want to support us, please do so. We're trying to bring real justice to the world. This parsha and last week's parsha for me was like Mayim Chaim al Nefesh Hayefa, fresh water on a tired soul, because for me it was exactly what we've been working on. Thank you very much, Ol. Thank you for that. So here we have our website. For those who want to support us, there's many different ways. Shofars, we have the Machatzit HaShekel, and so on. In the case of those who, I just want to say one last thing that now I'm finally remembering. In the case of the one who stole and he was caught, the people who decide if this person can be an Eved and if he can work for the person that he stole from is the Beis Din, the Sanhedrin, the judges, the rabbis. So those are the ones who decide that yes, it makes sense that not every thief is somebody that you want working for you, So the Sanhedrin have to be the ones to make sure that that works. So as you guys can see, we have many options. Here's the Machatzit HaShekel this year. The first option is basically $28, which comes out to about 100 shekel, which we give to the poor in Israel. And that's the certificate on the left over there. If level 2 would be you support the Sanhedrin initiative as well. That means not only are you supporting the mitzvah of Machatzit HaShekel as it says in Shulchan Aruch, as it says in the Halacha, but you're also, as you should, but you're also pushing that we should get back to the Beis HaMikdash. We should get back to the Geula Amitz Vashlema. So level 2, you get a Sanhedrin share and you get a Machatzit HaShekel share, which basically a share means a chelek, a part, like a share in the world to come, a part in the world to come. So this is a certificate that tells you that you gave money to the poor that was exchanged in a Machatzit HaShekel way with silver. And then the level 3, you get 5 beautiful temple coins. We have, we'll probably add this year. We're adding also the limited edition Sanhedrin conference coin with that we made in Haifa
with our Torah.
Yes, this beautiful coin can be your 7.77 gram fine silver. You get 5 coins in the level 3 package. So you get the Sanhedrin support, you get the Machatzit HaShekel certificate, and you get the 5 coins that you can use for Machatzit HaShekel in your community and so on to change the money. Level 4, due to the war and due to the situation where we really need the Geula, you get a shofar for just $100. It's a 14-inch shofar. Let me show you guys. 1 second.
Okay, you just go wild now in the last words. Okay, awesome. So,
there you go.
So now we have a you get such a shofar for the big package.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the big package, you get this, a 14-inch shofar. made
wonder
with
where is
out of the
level,
highest quality
here's
available.
level 4. Here's the level 4.
There we go. So you have the level 4. You get a shofar that's shipped out from the Golan Heights, Israel, together with your certificates and your gold coins if you get the level 4. For only $249, you fulfill the mitzvah of Machatzit shekel in style. And yeah, so
Yes.
that's what we're offering.
And next
And this,
time,
of course, helps to
yeah.
support the Sanhedrin.
And of course, on the next time when you come then with your shofar, you can blow it on Mount Zion. As Prophet of Yoel says, blow the shofar on Mount Zion. And this will meet up definitely for the next Pesach Sheni conference. Please visit the store from Yossi, from Joseph, Rabbi. Go directly to join.org. For everybody who would like to distribute this and make the payment of the temple tax more known, please be in touch with us. Thank you so much. And I think now, where do we click the button to stop? You have the button.
I will stop this.
That top left.
The voice out of the cloud. Super cool.
So
thank you very much, guys. Bless
okay.
you, and see you next time.
Bye.